Hi, welcome to a new video, and once again having a look at my favourite photographs from the ones that I took during the month of April. I know we're the majority of the way through May now. I haven't been very good this month, I do apologise for that. So without further ado, let's have a look at the work I put together during the month of April. Right, so we're going to start this one off with, it's a black and white photograph of a partially dead cut flower that's, basically it's kind of gone over, but it dried out quite nicely, and I used, this was Nikon D7000 and a Lensbaby Muse on this one. Now, the Lensbaby Muse is an odd little lens. It's a kind of like a bellows-based, rubber bellows-based tilt and shift lens, so it's a little bit unusual in that regard. But what it allows you to do is change where the focal point is and throw it out like a tilt and shift lens does, and it gives quite a dreamy little surrounding to it, a kind of halo around it. Process this one up in black and white. I just really like the depth and the textures on this. I think it worked quite well, and I was quite confident of what I wanted this one to look like when I started out. So yeah, this is the first image I've picked for the month of April. The next one we have is an unusual landscape type shot. So this is taken out of the Velux window in our bedroom. It's an attic room, so as you lift it up to basically just get some air going through it, I noticed because it had been raining, there was just some rain droplets hanging on the edge of it. So what I thought I'd do here is try and focus the raindrops and throw the background out of focus to get a little bit of an unusual take on a landscape here. Again, had a picture of this in my mind, took about half a dozen shots, and this was the only one that really worked. I like the way that you've got kind of the landscape in the background. It's there, but it's not because it's out of focus, and the raindrops are clearly in focus on there. Now, the interesting thing about this one was it's one of a number of shots I took in April with a Lumix LX1, which is an old camera with an unusual sensor because this is a 16:9 sensor as standard. It was sold both under the Panasonic Lumix brand and also as a Leica, and it's got a cracking lens on it, it really has. It's a CCD sensor, although most of the pictures I like from it are the black and whites. The colour rendition on it's excellent. CCD sensors have their own kind of colour story to them that works quite well. This thing's appalling in low light, anything above 200 ASA, and it's as grainy as anything, but it just worked perfectly for this. Just grab, shoot, bang, done. And I will be doing a full review video on the LX1 soon because it's an interesting little camera that you can pick up quite cheap. It's absolutely tiny, in the right circumstances works brilliantly. And the right circumstances were this next shot. So again, this is taken on the LX1, the full 16:9, and this is, I went for a walk out near the River Ray, which is not far from my house. Came across this tree with a lot of growth around it. It's clearly a dead tree. It's obviously been shaped over time when it was alive by the wind, so you've got this kind of inverse forked lightning coming out of the ground, and just this shows how much you can get out of the LX1, because this was from a JPEG, because the LX1 will shoot RAW, but it takes an absolute age to process the raw images, and the JPEGs are actually quite usable in that regard. You can do quite a bit of editing in post with the JPEGs, and I just really like the way this one came across with the tree almost being the lightning coming out of the ground, so in reverse, and the tones that I managed to pull out of it in the base of the tree and the surrounding area framing it, the log, the fallen log that's in the bottom left hand corner leading into it, just it worked really well. And I must confess, when I shot this, I wasn't sure how it was going to come out and what I'd be able to get out of it. And this is actually probably my favourite shot I took in April, and one of my favourite shots in quite a while. In fact, probably the favourite one I've taken this year. So really did like this one. And again, for a camera I picked up cheap on eBay that is in theory obsolete, this goes to show you can pick up cheap cameras, you can use them, and you can get some absolutely brilliant results out of them. I really like this one. We then move on to some weaver birds bathing. So we went to what used to be called Bristol Zoo. It was, when we went, called the Wild Place Project. It's now changed its name again, and it's once again sort of called Bristol Zoo. It's the Bristol Zoo Project now, but long story short, they've got some weaver birds there in quite a big enclosure, and they were bathing as well as nest building, and I took a lot of shots of them, and this was with my Olympus, so Micro Four Thirds EM1 Mark II here, and just the interaction as they're playing around here and bathing, and just one of them I managed to get sharp in the middle with the movement from the others around. I think it just worked really well. The clay soil that we have in Wiltshire and going down that far into Avon and Bristol, it always gives water, if it's churned up, this kind of orangey colour, and that I think just complemented really nicely with the orange and yellows in the feather structure and in the plumage of the weaver birds. And just, I loved the way it came together. Again, really pleased with this. Not one for wildlife photography. I have a dabble, but it's mainly, just squirrels and pigeons out of my office window, and this was an unusual opportunity for me. It's not the mainstay of what I do, but I like the way this came out and was quite pleased with the overall balance of it. And then my final one is a picture of a local musician, a friend of mine, Emma Dupay. She was playing in the Beehive pub in Swindon here. I like the way this has captured Emma's personality. It's got a sense of movement in it as she's playing what is an unusual instrument there, an auto harp, which is one hand plays keys the chords, the other one strums, I don't know how many strings it's got, a lot of strings anyway. Music photography is my main passion. It's what I absolutely love doing, and really like the way this shot came out, particularly as the Beehive's actually not an easy pub to shoot bands in. It's very cramped in there, you can't get too far back, and the lighting is quite harsh and quite dark at the same time, so does require a bit of post. Oh, and it's got mixed lighting in there as well, so your white balance is all over the place. So a challenge to shoot always, and this basically is probably my pick of a two-band shoot I did there. It was Emma Dupay was playing, and she was supporting a band called Oral Candy, and I quite like some of the shots from the Oral Candy stuff. And if you want to see all of these, you can go and look at the last video on my output, which is basically all of the shots I took in April that I liked, but this music wise was my pick. So those are all of the images, or rather, sorry, my top 5 images that I took in April. Let me know down in the comments which one you like. For me, it's my tree. It's my dead tree. I definitely like that. Or if you have watched the other video, let me know if you actually think I should have included some other shots from that in here rather than the 5 that I've picked. And don't get me wrong, I might not disagree with you, because being perfectly honest, it was hard narrowing them down this month. There was a couple that I was umming and ahhing with, but these are the 5 I settled on. And hopefully you've enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching, and do keep an eye out for that Lumix LX1 review that will be coming up hopefully within the next couple of weeks. I just want to spend a bit more time with the camera to be sure about what I'm saying about it. But thanks very much for watching, everyone. Take care and bye.